An increasingly popular tactic for corporations looking to pay a little bit less in taxes is to simply park all their profits overseas, or a significant portion of them, where it's protected from any sort of taxation. And when it comes to that strategy, GE is apparently number one.
Always
so
number one.
We have numbers. In 2011, by the end of 2011, GE profits held overseas amounted to $102 billion. And as you can see, one more year goes by, an additional $6 billion parked overseas. Now, we're gonna show you some more details both about other corporations that do this and also about GE's effective tax rate. There can be a justifiable reason to do this to some extent. They are making profits overseas. They are setting up subsidiaries in other countries. But this is clearly far and away beyond the actual percentage of their business that they do outside of the US. And it shouldn't be any surprise that because this is very effective and it's saving them billions of dollars, costing the US billions of dollars, we're seeing other corporations do it as well. I believe over the last year, the amount of money being held in overseas accounts went up by 14% by corporations. And so it's interesting that as a result of this, GE, as you can imagine, does not pay what we would consider to be a fair amount of taxes. And indeed, between 2002 and 2011, their effective tax rate was all of 1.8%. Which I imagine is probably slightly lower than most of the people watching this video. And what's amazing about it is it's not like, oh God, they're just trying to save every cent because it's so harsh. This money being held overseas is profits.
Yeah.
$108 billion in profits. How many countries' GDPs even equal that?
What I don't understand is, I mean, what do we need to do here in the United States so these corporations don't go like create these tax havens in like Bermuda and other countries? Because when you really look at it and you look at all the corporate tax loopholes, we have the lowest corporate tax rate of any other industrialized country. Okay, because of all the deductions, because of all the loopholes, and it's still not good enough for them. They're still willing to go abroad to countries that have lower tax rates. So what is the solution? And you'll go to the Republicans and they'll say taxes are too high. We got to, but no, taxes are not too high. We have corporations like GE that pay nothing in taxes.
Well, 1.8%.
1.8 in tax, 1.8% in taxes between 2002 and 2011.
Yeah.
I mean, that's insane.
Well, what they'll do is they'll use that slippery language. You'll hear Republicans and conservative Democrats who will say, well, America has the highest corporate tax rate, but what they won't say is it's the highest effective corporate tax rate, which is what you're talking about and you're talking about, which is all of the hijinks that they can perform with their, barrage of lawyers that they have and accountants that they have, whose job it is to make sure that they don't pay taxes.
Yeah, so there are obviously the loopholes. There's also the subsidies. Now, some industries get it more than others, but GE is subsidized to some extent. They get tax refunds and things like that, incentives to build in certain areas or research certain types of technology. And now, if they simply don't bring the money back to the US, they never actually have to be taxed on it. Which I'm sure Cenk would find to be quite un-American, but apparently they are quite fine with it.
It's completely unpatriotic. I mean, here we have these companies that benefit from the social structure that we have created collectively as Americans. This safe society with laws that makes it possible for them these corporations to do the work that they have and expand to other countries and have this safe haven here, and yet they're not willing to pay their fair share. Now, part of that, they call that their shareholder responsibility in order to get the most value for their shareholders. There is that aspect of it, but also they use that lobbying money to get favorable tax treatment in the courts and in Congress and lobbying, and that I think is where the solution lies, is getting money out of politics.
Yeah, and to your unpatriotic point, absolutely. I mean, whenever, no one enjoys paying taxes, right? Like, I see the amount of money that gets taken out of my paycheck. I'm not making anywhere near like $108 billion, of course, right? Like, so when I'm making my $12 a month and the government takes 3% of it or whatever, no, I'm joking around.
I think that both of those numbers might have been off by a bit.
Yeah, just a little bit.
We'll check it.
But look, obviously our money goes to certain things that I'm unhappy about, like, I don't know, drone attacks abroad, right? I'm not happy about that. But when I think about public education and giving back to my community and giving people a chance to make something of themselves, that's America, and that's what people should be proud of. Instead, we have these unpatriotic assholes that totally take advantage of the system. They take advantage of the public education, certain services that gave them the opportunity to become as successful as they are, and then what do? They turn around and do the most unpatriotic thing they possibly can do.
Yeah, and by the way, also, if you're actually a shareholder in GE, the money that's sheltered abroad will not be used to pay dividends to you.
Right.
I mean, you'd have to be so. Now, I understand many of them probably don't understand some of the legal wrangling that's going on when they keep the money abroad, but they should be pissed off, and I'm glad that this information is coming out. So we've got a couple more details about other corporations that do this. We're not just picking on GE here, because as I said, it's becoming increasingly popular. So just in 2012, 60 of the largest companies, this is coming out of a Bloomberg analysis, by the way, of 83 different corporations. You can see moved $166 billion offshore, shielding up to, in some cases, 40% of their earnings from American taxation. And as you can imagine, that's billions in lost revenue. Now, to put it in perspective, in the current day political context, this is pretty interesting. So we have this quote, this is coming from the Wall Street Journal. Just 19 of the 60 companies in the journal survey disclosed the tax hit they could face if they brought the money back to their U.S. parent. Those companies say they might have to pay $98 billion in additional tax, more than the $85 billion in automatic spending cuts triggered this month after the White House and Congress couldn't agree on an alternative. Which means that just if you tax the money they were holding overseas on their profits, it's more than the entire sequester for this year.